Hey, welcome back. We are joined once again by Noble McIntyre of McIntyre Law. Yay! It's an awesome 80s weekend. He always comes in here Friday, and we talk about the 80s.
The best
for one
era
thing.
in the history of eras.
Exactly. So I got this new 4K player because I collect physical media. So all these good 80s titles, E.T., Highlander, Blade Runner, Ghostbusters, they're all 4K now. But back in the 80s, we only had VHS. And some people had beta.
I remember that when you would go into what was the store where we rented it?
Blockbuster,
and everybody had to rent the player because nobody could afford it, and you decide whether you wanted beta or VHS. Beta, I guess, was actually the superior quality, but for whatever reason, VHS took over. But I remember those days.
And only the cool kids or the rich kids had beta.
Yes, and owned their own unit to play it.
Yeah,
we weren't those. We were in Burns Flat. We had to rent it.
Yeah, we weren't either. And this one kid was like, "I'm gonna go watch the Terminator on beta now."
Oh,
bully for you. So yeah, that was physical media back in the 80s.
Right.
And I still collect it. I like to watch movies that aren't streamed because those can go away. And it all started with the 80s physical media.
You know, there was a time in the 80s, I remember briefly, where actually the movies would come out on the great big gold discs. Do you remember a laser disc?
Yeah, laser discs.
Laser discs.
Yes.
And that was a very brief era because I had a friend that they would get the laser discs. And they were very expensive and you had to have the laser disc player, but that was supposed to be superior to VHS and beta as well. I don't remember whatever happened to those, but do you remember watching those?
Yeah, they were as big as a record.
Yeah, the size of a record.
Because they were too kind of big and awkward.
And what was so cool about it was if it was a VHS tape and you wanted to skip to another part of the movie, you had to hold it down and wind it forward, stop and play. But with the big record disc, you could just pick it up and move it, and so it was kind of a concept that was new to us.
Right. And I'm such a nerd. There's actually a video on YouTube of Leonard Nimoy talking about the laser disc. Spock. So if you get a chance, look at YouTube and Leonard Nimoy.
Well, if you're out there listening and you've never heard of such a thing, go to YouTube and look it up.
Yeah. And now it's like, secondary market, it's a big thing to have a laser disc.
Is it really?
Yes, it is for people.
Well, if you're a physical music person, why do you not have one?
Because they just cost a lot of money and I don't care.
Oh, there you go.
Now, a lot of physical things, physical media and all that can mean a lot to people.
Right.
And so we're talking about the fires in LA and here tornadoes really. We kind of want to review what you should do to kind of protect yourself insurance-wise if you lose everything like these people have lost in that fire. And also, I was going to ask you, what would you take with you, one or two things that are important to you if you have to evacuate?
So, I said this before we went on the air, my father growing up, he used to tell me that in the event of an emergency, that your first response that you have is going to be your rehearsed response. And what he meant by that was, you hear about people that drive their car into a pond and they drown, and you wonder, well, how did you not get out? Well, you panic. They don't even remember how to undo a seatbelt because they're in the dark, it's cold, they're panicking. And if you wait until an emergency situation to make that decision, you're so overwhelmed with input that you're not going to make the right decision. So you need to think about in advance what you would do in that, what would you take. The things that people typically grab are the things they should not. They'll grab a photograph, which I understand in the old days you couldn't replicate those. They may grab some jewelry. Items like that are replaceable. What you need to do is have a folder with all of your titles to everything that you own. So titles to your car, title to your house, the things that show proof of ownership, because that's a very small folder. Make sure you have that folder of everything that you own that's a titleable asset. In addition to that, any documents that you have that you've had lawyers draw up, whether it's wills or documents, things like that, you should have in a folder. And then pictures that you can't replicate. Now today you can, because you can store them on a computer into the cloud, but anything that you don't think that you can store or recreate, you should take.
That's good advice. And you know what, we at home we have a bag that we pack with everything that we take to the cellar.
Okay, your go bag. Yep.
My go bag. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's important. And also, what did you say about videotaping everything that you have?
So from an insurance perspective, and a lot of people don't realize this, in the event of a tornado, in the event of a fire, part of your insurance that you have on your home replaces your home, but part of it replaces your contents. But you have the duty to prove what you own, not the insurance company. And they're going to ask you to prove that. You're not going to be able to say, I had a Rolex watch and it burned up. You're going to have to show that you owned it. And so think about trying to sit down after a fire or after a tornado and writing down everything you owned. I'm talking about everything. All the suits in your closet. If you have suits, how many did you have? Where were they from? What were the brands? If you're a woman that has the purses and the shoes, where do they all come from? Some you can remember, but some you cannot. The best thing to do is to just take a day and video the contents of every room in your house, because it gives you a reminder. You watch that video, oh yeah, we own that nightstand, and we own that piece of furniture, we own that lamp. And then go in your closet and video everything in the drawers and everything hanging on the closets, and then store that somewhere else, because you don't want that video. In the old days, we videotape, and you had a videotape in your house, that burns up, it's gone too.
Right.
But store it in the cloud or give it to somebody else, so that if you do lose everything, you can sit down with the adjuster or whoever they have that's representing the insurance company and say, just go through it with them. I own this, and here's proof. I have video of it. Because you're never going to be able to remember everything. Try to remember everything you have in your drawers in your kitchen. You can't.
No.
But some of that stuff you paid a lot of money for. So video it.
All right. Even if it's the VHS edition of Fraggle Rock,
Yeah.
make sure you video.
Yeah, because that's harder to replace today than you might think.
That's right.
Yes.
All right.
Video everything.
All right. Thank you, Noble McIntyre, as always, for McIntyre Law.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you.
You bet.